Welcome to Word Project 1. Finally getting into the applications that are the core of this course, learning Microsoft Office 2019. It's down there in the homework section in Schoology. Word Project 1. Be sure to log into Schoology. You will be uploading your completed project here. And it should take us maybe 2 class sections, probably 1.5. But I'm not going to go too fast. If there's any issues, scream and we can pause the playback, and if you need to replay something. Otherwise, I'm going to walk through starting up Word and building a document. The document is going to look like this when you're done. You create a flyer. Going to be formatting text, some fancy text at the top, make a nice headline. Be doing a nice border around the document. Many people don't know how to do document borders. It adds a little pizzazz to your document. And it's all about good hygiene, a good time for hygiene. This book actually came out before the whole plague was even known about. Always a good thing to know about, even if you're not going to be a doctor. This guy's a doctor or a dentist washing their hands. You're going to learn how to format text nicely like this in a nice numbered list. Insert and format an image. Another paragraph after the image, bulleted text with a signature line, special font, special centering, decorated font, size of the font and style chosen throughout the document. You're going to be able to do all this. And here is the listing of the things that this first project has you doing. Learning how to start and stop Word, entering text, adjusting your margins. Pay attention to that if you're doing papers for your professors, your instructors. Some of them are very fussy on what margins you choose and will reject your paper if you don't do the margins according to their instructions. Very easy to adjust. No reason to get anything spelled wrong. You could spell the words correctly but have the wrong words. So it will make sure you have correct spelling, but it could be a completely wrong document. Saving your documents regularly. We've seen that. The Control S is your key shortcut. Multiple ways of formatting text. And we can undo things as we go if we make mistakes. Bringing in pictures. Adding some nice eye candy to your documents. And you can do it in a nice professional way. Adding borders, adjusting certain properties to your document so someone reading it knows who made it and when it was last modified. Closing and opening the document, revising the document, different ways to cut, copy, and paste. And we'll also review how to print it, although we're not going to do any hard copies. And there is always help available inside the application. Okay, Word is a word processing app. Remember, all apps use up memory in your PC. Word is running as a separate application using up memory. The document that you are editing is in memory until you save it. It is using up memory based on how much information is in your document. Every version of Word has a slightly new options, new features. In this class, we're not covering all the super new features, doing the basic things that's been around for a while. And remember, Word is not the only word processing document. We've already seen how you can do documents in the cloud. There's other options, but most companies use the Microsoft Office suite of applications. Remember, Office 365 is also available to you. Doesn't quite look exactly the same, but will be very similar. So as we work through this project, you're going to be learning the features of Word. Hands-on. So let's get started. I'm going to go back to Windows and start up Word. If I have saved it to my taskbar, let me demonstrate that. First of all, I'll find Word. I'm going to click on the Start button or the Start icon and start typing Word. On this PC doing this recording, I have a slightly older version of Word, but it should be the same as yours and the basic things we're doing. I'm going to start up the application. It's ready to start an application, but before we start with a blank document, notice I can actually take a reasonably nice tour of Word. I'm just going to quick open that just to show you how it provides a document for helping you through some basics of Word, giving you some Microsoft help, and it gives you little instructions to try things inside this document. Feel free to try this. It doesn't cover the same things that are covered in the book, but you can get an idea of what Microsoft thinks are some of the introductory things. We cover many of these things though. Of course, they want you to right away get connected to your OneDrive. You can actually sign in to your office.com account, but be careful about that. There's some things that when you do that, it calls home in the middle of you editing a document, and I have seen sometimes the Microsoft Word crash in the middle of trying to connect to your online office.com account. But if you do sign in, it gives you the opportunity to share things to your save things to your OneDrive. So you can read through that help document, gives you some basics. Of course, they want you to use their search engine, formatting text. They're kind of highlighting some of the newer features, walking you through the basic icons on the home ribbon that we're going to be learning about, adjusting your formatting. So that's a nice little help that gets you quickly into Word, and you can bring that up anytime as kind of a little helpful document to work on. We're not going to do that project though, but it does give you some ideas, and they like your feedback. Whenever you're in Word, you can always ask for help over here on the little Tell Me, and there's also help available in the, where did it go? It's up here in your, over here. That's the look for help on certain things. On the home page, in the home ribbon, we'll be getting back to that. So this is a document you can start and actually get familiar with the ribbon. There's help available. There's the backstage view. We're going to be going through these things as well. So I'm going to close that. That was only a quick look at a template available to you. Come back and start up Word now, and I'm going to this time start a blank document. Start up Word. Now I'm going to put that on my taskbar. Remember, any application, I can right click and attach it to my taskbar. If you're logged in with your own username, that will remember what you've attached to your taskbar. I can remove things from my taskbar, or I can adjust by just clicking and dragging things around on my taskbar. So I'm going to put Word here over next to my browsers. And say I don't want Edge, I'm going to right click, unpin from my taskbar. Okay, so now that Word is on my taskbar, I can always just click on that to start my Word document. I don't have to go searching for Word again. So, but I'll do it again just because you may not have put that on your taskbar. Again, I type Word, and because it's highlighted, I can hit Enter or click. This time, I'm going to be starting a blank document. And before I go anywhere, I want to make some adjustments to my document, the style that I'm typing in, the style of font, I can maximize this window if you want to. You can maximize that to fill up your screen, but I like to have multiple applications available. I don't like my applications. In fact, I hate applications that take over my screen. Like, hey, I'm the most important thing in the world. When you start this, I'm going to blank out everything else on the screen. Remember how you can grab a window and shake it and have it be the only thing on your screen. You open up Word, you're looking at the Home ribbon. Every one of these, that's the Insert ribbon, the Design ribbon, the Layout ribbon, the References ribbon, Mailings ribbon, Review ribbon, View ribbon, and come back to the Home ribbon. Double clicking on any ribbon, Tab, hides that ribbon if I need more room for my document and I don't need to see the help on my ribbon. During this project, we'll always keep our ribbons open. I can click once and see it, but then it goes away if I click somewhere else. Double clicking on a ribbon keeps it open until I double click again. I am also turning off the viewing of my ruler for now. I can come over to View and click Ruler. I don't need to see my ruler. I can hide the ruler. Because initially in the book, they are not showing their ruler. This is our Word window. We have scroll bars to scroll through our document up and down here. If I zoom in using this zoom magnifier, once it gets large enough, I can zoom left and right in my document. I'm going to put this zoom back at 100%. I can always see the status bar across the bottom of the screen, and there's various modes that I can adjust down here. I want to be in print layout mode. Now that home ribbon, we want to make sure, or home tab, we want to make sure we understand what that does for us. We're going to be going over the ribbons. We're also going to be spending some time on the format ribbon when I'm ready to edit something. And the format ribbon isn't showing right now because there's nothing that the format ribbon can do. We'll see that appear at certain times when I have an image or something selected. So when I'm working with images, I'll have an additional ribbon available to me. Okay, so before I continue, I'm going to make sure I have the correct fonts available to me. And I'm going to go to a special location on my home ribbon. Each section of this ribbon has a little name section. Here's the clipboard section, the font section, the paragraph section, and the style section, and some extra things over here. Now, depending on how large you have enlarged Word, this ribbon may appear differently. Watch what happens when I shrink the size of my window. Certain sections of that window get compressed into just a little icon. See how that got compressed into the styles? If I click on there, then everything else pops up. So I'm going to stretch it out. You may have a slightly different appearance as you go through, and that's because your window may be a different size. Another thing that shows up here in these sections, there's a tiny little dialog box launcher. There's the clipboard dialog box launcher. There's the font dialog box launcher, and it shows a special Control-D shortcut key that takes me there. Very useful dialog to do some detail control over your the font that's going to be set at the current position in my document. And I can even customize my quick access toolbar up here. I don't like to customize things, especially for beginning, because you don't want to be confused about it looking different each time. So I would highly recommend don't customize, even though you can. you're just going to confuse yourself. You'll find some of your friends really customize, but then their problem is someone else did not customize and they're confused trying to help them, or they get confused when someone else has not customized their ribbon. That's the quick access toolbar up above there. A lot of things available. Highly recommend don't change things until you are used to the default setting. Multiple area in your ribbon, and as we go around using it, you'll get used to the various things. Sometimes as you're typing, if I right click, a pop-up menu will also appear. That's our shortcut menu. In there we have so many similar things, very similar to things that are already up on the ribbon. This is just to save you some time, but it also can be confusing. So I would recommend pay attention to what's on the home ribbon. Right-clicking, maybe some shortcuts. But first, learn what all this means. Then as you do the shortcuts, you'll realize, hey, that's just a little shorter distance to do the same things I can do up here. So that can confuse you, but it's maybe convenient at times. Many of the same things here are available on your on the top ribbon. And of course, there's the account section up there. I'm going to ignore that for now. I don't want to have that extra thing getting in my way. If you sign in, lots of extra things can happen that can get very annoying. I can always click the different tabs to see the various options available in those other tabs. And we'll be learning about those as we go. So come back to the Home tab. That's the one that you want to start with. If you're familiar with the Home tab, feel free to explore these other ones, but come back to the Home tab when you're done. And I think it always starts at the Home tab. So tabs, ribbons, groups on the ribbon, those are all the terminology that we'll be referencing as we go. Home tab, font group, paragraph group, styles group. Okay, so we're going to get our document set up before we get started. We're going to set our print layout view here. Make sure we're in print layout, not in read mode or web view. Make sure our zoom is at 100%. And we don't want to show our ruler yet under the view. We're not going to have the ruler showing. I'm going to keep that ruler off. It remembers your last setting as well. And other things we're not going to mess with at this point. Now, before we get started, we're going to adjust our margins in our document right at the very beginning. It's preset for 1-inch margins. How do I know that? Well, I can go into Layout, Margins, and I see normal margins are 1, 1, 1, 1. See how I went to the Layout tab and I can view my margins. We're going to set, because this is a poster-like document, we're going to choose our margins to be narrow. And the narrow margins are 1/2 inch all the way around. So we're going to click Narrow Margin Setting. To see what my margins are, select here and notice that that's highlighted. There is the possibility of doing custom margins, but let's use the built-in settings first. We'll learn later how to do custom margins. Narrow margins. So Layout, Margins, Narrow. And I see what's been chosen. When I just select that, I see that slightly highlighted. I can always come back later and adjust my margins too. But we want them set first so we know exactly what things are going to look like as we go. Okay, so now that I've chosen that margin, I can come back and click on my document and notice how that insertion point is a little closer into the upper left corner. Okay. Next thing, I'm going to start entering some text. And this is going to become the title, But first I'll just make it plain text and come back later and format it. And I'm going to show you different ways of formatting. So wash your hands. Let me enlarge that for you. Now you don't need to zoom in. I'm going to zoom in for you to make that a little more visible for you on the screen. Wash your hands, exclamation point. So don't zoom in if it's confusing. I'm going to zoom in just so it's easier for you to see on the screen. So wash your hands. Now that I've zoomed in a little further than the width of my page, I have the left and right scroll bar. Okay, just hit that title. And then I hit enter. If I know I want a specific zoom in my View tab, I can always say, just zoom to the full width of my page. And that'll, for me, zoom back to the full width. I want to zoom in a little bit further to make that a little more visible to you. But underneath View, I can say, oh, give me full width so I can see the entire page. I'm zoomed in a little further than full width. Okay, so we've zoomed in. You can adjust that. It does not change your document. It just makes it easier to see as we go. Now, I have started a new paragraph. How do I know I've started a new paragraph? Let me go back to the Home ribbon. And there's this little backwards P. That is very helpful when I'm working on a document, especially that someone else has done. And I'm not sure if they have started entering tabs or where they have started a new line. I can turn on Show the Formatting Marks, and that shows me where they have started a new paragraph or hit the Enter key. That's useful sometimes to know. And I also see whether or not I have put 1 or 2 spaces in between words. Well, it does get a little noisy in what you see, but it helps us to see exactly what's been typed. Now, I'm going to leave that on for a while. We can always turn that off as I work on my document. It does not appear if I print. That just is a helpful indication. I can toggle it on and off just by clicking it. Alright, I'm going to now begin my first sentence, and I'm not going to hit enter. I'm going to let it automatically wrap. And I'm going to zoom out a little bit so I can see the page, just a bit there. And I'm going to start typing the sentence. Washing your hands with soap and water can decrease outbreaks of foodborne illness because it can prevent spreading. See how it's heading to the end of the page there? Spreading germs from your hands to food. Period. See how it automatically wrapped? I'm going to go View Page Width. See how it automatically wrapped? And I'm going to turn off formatting marks just so it's easier for you to see. I did not have to start a new line there, and I can see that I did not start a new line there because I don't see a backwards P. It automatically wrapped the font. Now, if you're a little slow at typing, come back in the book and you can finish your sentence as we go. I'm going to turn on formatting marks again, and I'm going to hit enter because I'm going to be starting a new paragraph. Word is controlling the spacing between lines and between paragraphs, but I can come back later and check. If I have anything incorrect, it not only checks for spelling errors, let's just for once, let's just misspell decrease. See how it automatically underlines that word in red. It will do that as I type, and if I want to have it corrected for me, I can right click and it will suggest, and it's usually correct in the first suggestion, oh, that's what I meant. Unless you're really going crazy or really just dropped your fingers on the keyboard, it's usually pretty good at guessing because you're usually off by just 1 or 2 letters or just have some letters backwards. Usually it can help you correct. Sometimes though, it's not so helpful. Sometimes it's guessing the wrong word. So don't assume its suggestion is correct. And sometimes it will suggest a correctly spelled word, but still be the wrong word. Sometimes you'll have grammar problems. Let's put in how about I'll spell it T-O-O. Oh, it didn't catch a grammar problem. I thought it would catch a grammar. We'll see grammar problems. They get underlined in blue instead of red. Okay. Now let's type the next line. I'll zoom in for you so you can read this better. And I'll do a turn off formatting to make that a little easier for you to read. Wet hands with clean. I'm going to spell clean wrong. Clean. Oh, see how I caught my spelling error. Comma. I can right click, correct the spelling, or I can wait till the end. It's good to be able to type without even looking at your keyboard. And come back later and fix the errors. Enter after that line. These are going to become a numbered list. So for now though, oh, I forgot a sentence. How? Question mark. Question mark. Enter. Again, I can turn that on to see where I started a new line. You can leave it on. I'm turning it off to make it easier to read. I come to that line. I do want a new line, so it's going to be another numbered list. When I format this as a number list, lather, hands, palms, backs, below nails, between fingers, around thumbs, by rubbing them together with the soap. Hitting enter. And where are we? Scrub hands for, I'm going to spell this wrong as shown in the book, at least 20 seconds. There we see a blue instead of red underline. We'll come back to that. And you're likely to get other spelling errors. One more and then we'll come back and fix that spelling or grammar error. Dry hands. Well, a towel. Or, oh, and I'm going to put two ors in there. Okay, so we've got a few problems here now that show up. Here, let's see if it suggests a correction. I can hover over that, right click, and it suggests the correct correction for that grammar. Now here, I've typed or twice. Now let's underline that in red, even though I've spelled it correctly. Delete repeated word is what it wants to do. Now notice, you can tell it to ignore it or to delete it. That's just the correct thing to do. Okay, so now it's corrected my text. And now we're going to go on and, after making the correction, fixing the problems as I go through that. I think I got everything corrected, making all the checks. They had something in the book about off of. Let's see. Yeah, I didn't get a correction suggested that. In the book, they show that this comes off as something needs to be corrected. Let's see, I'm going to select that and see if it suggests a correction if I right click. Oh. Off of. Doesn't suggest a correction. That's interesting. In the book, they suggest that to be corrected. Did I actually have two spaces? Let's see how it fixes that. Yeah, In the book it shows that off is the corrected grammar for that. Mine didn't show the correction. Maybe that's because I've 2016 and they had some corrected grammar in there. All right. Corrected the repeating word. And now we're ready to continue. We're not going to make this into a numbered list yet. We'll be coming back to that. Now at this point, I'm going to turn on formatting marks to see where I've started a new line. Notice I hit enter here, and that's ready to start a new line. I want to leave a blank line, so I just hit enter twice. And so that's where a formatting mark is helpful. I don't have a double spaced line there. I have simply entered a blank line, and now I'm at the line after that. I'm ready to enter some more text. We're going to be inserting a picture here at this line right here. But my insertion point will be here now. And now we're ready to type in some more text. And this is going to become a bulleted list. And it's going to start with the word question when, question mark. Hitting enter. And this is going to become part of the bullet after eating, coughing. Oh, I get my spelling right. Sneezing, or using a tissue, and tissue. Enter. No period here. To make it easier to read, I'm turning off formatting, and then going to type more. I'm going to bring this down so it's easier for you to read. Before, during, and after preparing food. Common sense thing after using or assisting someone in the restroom. After touching an animal feed, or animal waste. Insects count as animals. Those nasty little flies, or spiders, or those hissing cockroaches. I'll tell you a story about that. Maybe I'll bring them in and let you see them. Yes, after taking out the garbage. And this is going to become our signature line that we're going to be decorating. But watch what happens when I type this thing that looks like a website. www.foodworkers.com. Look at that, it automatically underlined that. We're going to turn that underlining off because this is going to be a hard copy and we don't want that text decoration in our hard copy. Now, if anybody needs help with going back and spelling anything, feel free to request a pause in the video to go back if you need help. This is also in your textbook, so if you have your textbook with you, you can go back and correct anything. So this is the text so far. This is all the text in our poster. No more typing after this. The rest is formatting everything. Now, something I haven't done yet, which is a very important thing to do. We've spent so far, maybe half an hour doing all this, hearing all the explanation as we go. But that's still half hour of work, and we don't want to lose this. At this point, it's a good idea to, before you go take a break, we're not ending yet. We've got a few more minutes. Control S, or remember that little icon. That stands for, second session we handed out those little floppy disks. That little picture represents a floppy disk, a historical icon. You want to see a floppy disk? There's a few laying around on the tables in the classroom. Feel free to take a look at one. Control S is the best thing to remember. you can always go to that backstage view. At this point, I'm going to browse to where I want to save this document. Now, I'm on a slightly different computer than during the regular classroom, so I'm going to browse and make sure that I have a cs101 folder, and this PC has an extra drive with an extra user of mine there. And I'm going to make sure I have a cs101, and I'm going to call it cs101 2020 all. I go down into there and make a new folder, Control N this time. Oh, no, Control Shift N. Control Shift N, and this will be section 1. If you're watching this for section 2, it's the same kind of thing. And I'm saving this as, notice how it wants it's choosing the default first line in my document. Instead of that, change that to, actually I'm going to leave that at the end. I'm going to add to that Manning, use your last name, WD1. And you can leave the wash your hands part in there. You can also put other characters in your file name. There are certain characters that may not be allowed, like quotation marks and things. But allow spaces and dashes in file names. It'll complain if you give it the wrong name. And notice the path to where it's being saved. You'll need to know that path when you're ready to upload it to Schoology. So be organized and be consistent in where you save your files. Many very experienced computer people are horrible at organizing their files, and you've probably run into them. Now I'm saving it, and now that I've saved it, now that shows up at the top of my document. Now notice as we've gone through this document, this status bar has been keeping track of my word count and the number of pages. There's other shortcut keys that are covered in, I think, the chapter quiz. I can use my arrows, left and right arrow keys, up and down arrow keys. I can use control arrow keys. And I guess because I'm connected in a different way, the control arrow keys aren't working for me. And there are control up and down arrows to go through pages of your document. In our simple one-page document, that's not so important. Okay, so there's my document. Save that. Now we're ready to do some formatting on this document. We've saved it for the first time. Browse to where we have it saved. In the book, it gives you a different name. Now we're going to come back to our document and modify a few things. We're going to first of all start with that first paragraph because we want it to go from plain to super cool, decorated with the colors here. Now some of you are very creative and you're going to want to use different colors. For this assignment, stick with the colors here, and then I'll allow, as I see that you've got the skills, to get more creative in your colors. But for now, use the same colors that are specified in the book, even if you don't like their color scheme. So we're going from here, unformatted, to here. Nice. The interesting, well, I don't know if you'll find this interesting, but this is how website people look at websites and design websites. This is the information in a website. Then they format the text using special formatting directives. This information is exactly the same, but the display of it is much more interesting to the reader. It catches their attention. But the information is exactly the same. This information presents and would catch the attention. We haven't put the border on yet, but that's what we're going to do now, formatting the text to look like this. One thing I'm going to show you different is a better way to do that heading than simply coloring your paragraph. So watch that as we get to that part. Okay, so here we go. before we choose, before we come through and adjust our colors, we're going to make a change to our document theme, which is a way of letting Microsoft choose a set of colors that should match. And to do that, I go to the Design tab, and there are themes hiding under the Theme button. So Design tab, click, Themes, click, and look at all the various color themes. That is a combination of font, paragraph style, and font style and colors. The theme that we want to choose for this document is the, I think it's the Ion theme. Let me make sure I get that right. Oh, no, it's the Slate theme. Or we're going to find the Slate theme. Well, where's the Slate theme? It looks like, well, they're not quite alphabetized. Let's see. Where is Slate? There it is. Now, you may see it in a different place. This is showing in a different place than I see in the book, maybe because I'm Office 2016. Looking for the Slate theme. With the themes comes a set of paragraph styles and a set of colors and a set of fonts. I can customize that once I've selected a theme, but I'm not going to. I'm going to select the Slate theme for now. And now I'm going to go to that top paragraph. I can have my insertion point anywhere in that paragraph, because when I'm in a paragraph, whatever I do applies to the paragraph I'm in. How do I know what paragraph I'm in? Well, on the Home tab, turn on formatting marks, and I see that this counts as that paragraph. That's where that formatting mark is helpful. Now at this point, I can decide the paragraph I'm in, I'm going to center. I can right click and up pops the quick menu, and there's paragraph, and oh, there's some crazy things there. Lots of things there. I'm going to center it. And in there I can go alignment center right there. Oops, there. Or I can go to that icon right there on the Home tab. And Control E also will center. Now watch that line get centered. Okay, center that line. That is the most common way to center. But remember, I could also right click, jump into my paragraph, which is the same as opening my paragraph dialog box. So I've centered that. Now before we leave, we're going to adjust the font size of that as well. Oh, we are centering the next one here. Second paragraph, we're going to center this washing your hands with soap and water. So center that as well. Now I could have selected through both of them like that, and left or right centering will affect both of them. I didn't have to do one center, two center. So if you know you're going to center a bunch of things, just drag through it and the formatting applies to whatever's been selected. But remember, the centering applies to the paragraph. Some things apply to fonts, other things apply to paragraphs. That's in the grouping on the ribbon. I think, let's see, we'll do one more thing here and then we'll stop this video and we'll continue to the next video. Give you a little time to finish up, to go back and check any spelling, and we'll finish up the next one. Let's see, the next thing we're going to do is select that wash your hands line, and if we want to change the font, I need to select all the text on that line. Now there's multiple ways to select that text. I could click and hold down the mouse and drag through that text. Okay, that's one way to select all the text. Another way is double clicking selects the word, triple clicking, 1, 2, 3, selects the whole paragraph. Or I can always go on the left side and select in the margin, and that will select that line by just clicking once over in the margin. So triple click, drag through, or click in the margin to the left of that line. And I can also select multiple lines by clicking and dragging down in the margin. So clicking once there selects that, or if I'm here in the middle, don't want to go over to my margin, just triple click, 1, 2, 3, selects the whole paragraph. Triple click there, selects that whole paragraph. But this is the paragraph I want to modify. Triple click, have that selected. Now I'm going to be in the font section. Now fonts are only affect what is selected, unlike paragraph. And we're going to set the font size to be 36 point. Now I can come up here and simply type 36 and then hit enter, and it becomes 36 point. Or I can Control Shift less than, Control Shift greater than, and I see it jumping between the various choices of my font size. See how that's changing up there? I can also come to this list and select through this font size in here. Remember though, I don't have to select only these numbers in here. Suppose I wanted 31 point. I can come up here and type 31. I'm not limited to what's selected. It will interpolate between the numbers it knows about that are set. It will enlarge it slightly. So you're not limited to what's in this list, but in this case we are going to set it to just the 36. And we are going to change our font type as well. We're going to change the font to, what are we changing it to? We're changing it to Rockwell Extra Bold. So it's selected, come over here, click, and I can type R, or I don't know why that went to the top there, that's weird. It went up instead of down for me. I'm going to find Rockwell Extra Bold. It shouldn't do this to you. It's only doing this to me because I have a special setting on my screen here. I can slide down to the R's, or I can type R and it jumps down to the R section. And I think if I even do RO, if I type RO, it shows me the RO, and I can slide down a little further, and there's the Rockwell Extra Bold. Sorry about that craziness on the screen. Now I'm going to zoom out a little bit to full screen width by going to View Page Width. That's how it's going to look on my poster. And last thing I'm going to do in this video is to change the background color and case. I don't want this to be all uppercase. I don't have to retype it. Oops. Triple click. I can come back to the home page, and in the case right here I can choose make everything uppercase. I don't have to retype it. It will update that for me. And if I want to type a special effect of typography, let's go to my text effects and change it to, where's typography? Typography gallery. And which one are we choosing? We are choosing this one here. This text effect. Fill white, outline brown. Wash your hands. Oh, that doesn't look like a fill white. Let's see if I select off of it, does it become a fill white? Yes, it does. So I had it selected. It looks like it's highlighted in gray, but fill white, once I click off of it, I see the fill white effect. And the last thing I do, I can make the fill of that paragraph to be a particular shade of dark brown. So in the paragraph, with my insertion point in the paragraph, I can change my fill to be third from the right, second from the bottom, dark brown. I'm going to stop the video here, and I'll show you a better way next time of doing all this and making it a more flexible paragraph. So I'll stop there. See you next time. Stopping my recording.